Hey everybody, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. It's Shelby and Kelsey, and today we have Beth with us also to give you some advice on if you have food allergies and going into the holiday season. We just had Halloween, which can be really tricky if you have food allergies, and we're going into Thanksgiving and Christmas where those food allergens might be more prevalent and harder to avoid. So we're going to ask Beth, another dietitian here with Community Wellness and Education, about some tips that she has for if you have food allergies.
So Beth, one of our first questions is kind of what general tips do you have for families or parents of kids that have food allergies, or maybe even adults themselves? What kind of tips do you have for them during the holidays?
So the holidays can be an especially challenging time of year because we know treats, food is everywhere. Some general tips, I think, is just starting with just being aware. You always have to be super vigilant, being aware of what's around you, where you're going. My tip, because both of my children have been challenged with food allergies, is we always have a safe food with us so that they're not left out if we've gone somewhere. Some other things are planning ahead, definitely educating, whether the child is really young or is a teenager or young adult. You can still educate them, and then you can educate your friends and family, those that you're going to be joining. Keep your rescue medicines handy. Unfortunately, we don't ever want to have someone have to have an emergency, but you've got to have that EpiPen, that Benadryl, those things on hand if the unfortunate situation should arise.
Thank you, Beth. We do have another question. How would you prepare if you were going to a party or if you were going to host a party with food allergies? How do you prepare for that situation?
So the harder one probably is going away, going somewhere else with food allergies. My first tip is to contact that host right away. Let them know that your child, your family member has food allergies, and let them know what the allergies are. And you could ask them, would you rather me bring something? I don't want you to be offended, but we always like to make sure that our folks are safe. There's always education involved in making them aware. Offer to bring something. What if I bring a food? I'll be glad to bring a dish, and then you can bring a food that's safe for the family, for that individual that's going to be suffering from the food allergy. And of course, it's not a bad idea to make a little ingredient card. Start a trend and take that with you. So you never know if there's others. We know allergies are on the rise just everywhere. They're just running so prevalent these days. So most likely, we're probably not going to be the first person or whoever this is who has that food allergy. If you are hosting an event, I think that's a great opportunity to, again, make people aware of the ingredients that are in foods. Obviously, make safe foods that you have on hand. Certainly encourage your children, your young adults, family members to wash their hands. The young kids, you've got to remind them, don't eat someone else's food. Don't eat food without asking mom or dad, grandma or grandpa. Don't grab the food. I mean, it starts, each stage and age requires different guidelines, but it might start from don't eat off someone else's plate to making sure that you ask, reading ingredient labels, things like that. Being aware, always being aware.
Great. Well, our last question, Beth, was going to be, you kind of talked about how to educate your kids about their food allergies. Do you have any specific rules maybe that you would give kids on how to avoid their allergies, or any kind of tips for them?
Yeah, my friend and I still laugh when we used to take our kids trick-or-treating, and Nathan, who at the age of 4 would go up to the door and someone would give him food, he'd say, no nuts, and he'd pull his bag back, and I felt like, and then at church one day he stood up in the middle and said, Mom, do these have nuts? So I felt like I'd done my job. But always teach those kids, do not eat it without asking me or another responsible adult. Don't share food. And my golden rule has always been, when in doubt, go without. So if you don't know what's in it, if you don't have an ingredient label, if you didn't prepare it, we just don't know. Cross-contamination is a risk for food allergies. We just don't know what's in there. So if you don't know, it's okay to say no thank you. That's why I always bring along a special treat for my kids when we were out and about somewhere, whether it's out shopping, whether it's at a holiday party, anywhere, so that they still have something to eat and they don't feel excluded.
Great. Beth, thank you so much for coming and talking with us today. I think that was a lot of great information, especially with the holidays coming up. We just had Halloween, so preparing for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think that's great info. So if you guys want to learn more, you can visit our website at owensborohealth.org/nutrition. We also are having a cooking class coming up that will be on December 7th, so you can go ahead and call an RSVP for that. Just visit our Facebook page to get that phone number and more info if you would like. Thank you guys for tuning in.